And here we go. So, Robert, why don't you tell me, how do you normally do a Google Hangout? Because you're my mentor, and I just feel so grateful, excited, and blessed to have this opportunity, this time with you that's so valuable.
Well, the way that you do a Google Hangout is I really believe in this day and age that people just need to be who they are regardless of the technology. So, I remember, feeling totally weird the first time that, I talked to someone long distance. Because think about it. Someone said, "Well, Paul, listen, you know what? You need to talk to my buddy Paul. He's on the East Coast. He's a dear friend, and he really wants to do this business. Can you help him out? Can you talk to him?" And it's like, "Yeah, I can meet with him tomorrow." "What do you mean meet with him?" "Well, he's your brother. He's right here in California, isn't he?" "Oh, no, 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 no. Well, how am I supposed to meet him?" Well, the first time that I ever did a talk to get to know someone and build rapport over the telephone for business. See, it's not a problem if I want to do it personal. Why do we have to put a division between the two? It's right between our ears.
Yes.
We
It is
we
about
all we
money.
all we act different personal than we do in business. Well, why don't you just learn how to be you all the time?
Yeah.
And then you don't have to worry about what situation you're in. So doing a Google Hangout really simply is the technology is recording live. When you talk, your picture comes up. When I talk, my picture comes up. So it just alternates, and when you get done, as long as you click on save, it records it. So for the people that are out there watching us live, welcome, and to the first Paul Manieri world event. World.
Yeah. And you know what? I think we're going to use this little song to help set the tone. You ready? Here we go.
Okay.
You may have heard it on Robert's tone.
What is it? Don't worry, be happy?
Something like that with a little up tempo.
Pretty interesting. Okay.
All right. So that'll maybe help get the tone going, at least make me feel a little more comfortable.
And that's all that counts. You're the one that's doing the interview, so that
Well,
will be forever now. That will be forever Paul's intro song. So that'll be.
no, I actually found that for you. But it really reminds me about how comfortable I felt when I first met you almost 20 years ago, Robert. And it really speaks to who you are. You know, you say all the time in your presentations about, if I can do this, you can do this. And I think that's what we really want to intend with this Google Hangout, is for other people to see that they can surround themselves around successful people and have a lot of fun. When we first met, it was an opportunity for you to share a business with me in my own office. Technology was much different than it is today, and yet the way you were, the way you are, is the same then as it is today. And the reason why I continue to invest in your programs and following you as my mentor is because I see how you impact people's lives over and over again. So what I'd like to start off with is about the journey that what we've seen and how business has changed, how the world has changed through our eyes, and how other people's eyes, and where it is today, and then where we're going from a 30,000-foot view. You and I both know that you have a passion for flying. Someday you will be the pilot behind your own plane, and there's things that happen in our lives that bring people together that for whatever reason we know we want to make a difference more than just money.
Right.
I think that's the true definition of an entrepreneur. A spiritual entrepreneur is someone that wants to feed into someone's life, to pour into someone's life to make a difference. And I think that's why even, after 15, 20 years, we are still in each other's lives because of the impact of this industry.
No doubt.
So
No doubt.
talk about how when you first met, how we first met, and where you were in your life then, and what you've seen change in the industry, the different ways that have come through.
Well, the one thing that I think that's very unique, the way I see the profession of marketing, whether you call it home-based business or you call it network marketing, affiliate marketing, whatever you call it, the whole concept of marketing is very simply getting a product or service, to the people that have generated it or invented it or created or built it, and get that to a consumer, a person where it makes their life more valuable.
Right.
You know what I mean? That there's actually benefits in it. And one of the things that's unique about being in marketing, of course, if you have a product or a service that doesn't put people in a better position, then guess what? The word gets out about it. And, and it doesn't do very well. And same with the other. If you go out there and your name's good out there, when people look at companies like Yahoo and YouTube and Facebook now, I think a lot of people, when they first heard about it and think about it, it's just one of those things where you mentally don't understand it until you understand it. And what I mean by that more than anything is I just recently became a grandpa for the first time. And, so I got all these grandpas and these grandmas that are telling me, wait until you become a grandparent. It's like, wow, I didn't know what I didn't know. And so when you're looking at this, when me and Paul first met, the one thing that I knew that I was trying to do is that I had a lot of thoughts of not only the life that I wanted to provide for myself and my family, the amount of money that I wanted to give to other people. I also love the concept of actually meeting people that wanted a better life. And so when you look at people that, I'm just trying to find people that are dissatisfied in one or more areas of their life. And at the time that I met Paul, my goal was not only to get to know him, whether or not we were going to be in business together, but just to find out from Paul where the dissatisfaction was coming from in his future or in his present life. And for me to be able to explain in the best words that I could how me and him working together, not him being involved in a company, not him participating in a comp plan, not him being involved in selling a product or service, I was more interested in building a relationship with Paul and how him and I could work together to acquire the customers and the people that were needed to basically fulfill his dreams. And so if you're always coming from the mindset of how you can be something for someone, an answer to them. I never looked at acquiring reps or recruiting reps or building a satisfied, loyal customer base as something that I wanted to be a master at. I just always wanted to use that vehicle to help people achieve their dreams. And so the best way that I can look at it with the perception that I think about all the time is if I knew that, Paul, your watchers, your watchers of the show, whether live or recorded down the road, if they needed to get to Vegas, and I knew for a fact that they would be extremely happy getting to Vegas. And let's say that that's where they just decided to meet a family member that they miss very, very, very much. And they just wanted to get there because they agreed on that location. Then how I get them there is not important. The important is me getting them there. And so I might first just ask some questions. I just don't know why people don't listen more than they talk. So I might right away ask, if Paul was the person I was trying to get to Vegas, is I want to know what his current financial situation is. Because if money's not an issue, then we're taking a Learjet. We're taking a private jet and we're getting there. Right. If money is not that big of an issue, but it's not in a surplus, Well, maybe we're just flying on coach there. You know, me, I haven't always had money, so what would I do? I might turn around and find out how to use different airlines. You know what I mean? You always know you can get a cheaper deal by going on multiple connections, and you have to change from one different airline to another. So that will be proof to each and every one of you that one time I had no money. You know, we could drive there. You know, what if you didn't have a car? And you can go on and on. And when you find ways to help people solve problems, then all of a sudden they know that you genuinely care for them.
Right.
Because you're going, listen, we're going to make this happen, Paul. We're going to get you know, to Vegas, and I don't know how, but we're going to get there. And, you know, no one wants to take a Greyhound bus there, but guess what? That might be an option, you know. And so technology changes so fast, and I'm sort of laughing that I'm on this example right now, or this analogy, because right now the biggest thing that you're hearing all over the internet is Uber. I didn't know what Uber was. You know, so someone comes up with an application that allows you to go on there, and people go on there, put in their profiles, and get certified to actually take people where they need to be that don't have a car and get paid instead of a taxi cab. I was like, okay, I know what some of you are thinking, just what I was thinking. There's no way I'm going to go on an app and have a stranger come pick me up. I'm just not going to do it. But Paul and I are old enough to remember when people used to hitchhike all over the world.
Right.
Now, some people don't think that's a neat thing to do anymore, but I was watching, you know, people that are on TV, and this girl lady, I'm trying to think of her name, very well-known celebrity. Everybody knows her. And she hates parallel parking. She hates it to such an extent that she called Uber. And this lady comes, picks her up, and when she gets in the car, she goes, "Oh my God, you're so-and-so?" I mean, this lady is Lionel Richie's daughter.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
That's
And
how
so,
people know her.
yeah, isn't that funny?
Yeah.
So, you know, so she gets in the vehicle, and the girl's looking at her like, "Why are you using Uber?" And she goes, "I don't like to drive. I don't like to park. Thanks for picking me up. Here's where we're going." So can you imagine, you know, people just don't think that technology works because they're closed-minded to it. You just got to open up your mind. And when I first got exposed to marketing and understood two key things, one, the concept of getting paid residually off doing something one time. I mean, I'm still reaping rewards of things that I did 27 years ago.
Mm, mm.
I just don't know why people don't get that if you're not doing something residually, that you need to get that part of that model into your portfolio. You got to.
Right.
The second thing is Paul and I, before we got on this webinar, this Google Hangout, is we love helping people. And so it's a natural for Paul and I to learn skills and techniques to teach other people that when they go out and get involved in the vehicle that we're in, that they actually not only make money, but we get a percentage of the money that they're making while we're mentoring them.
Right.
And so again, I was a mechanic before I found all this, so I could teach people how to do some of the specialty skills that I knew, like automatic transmissions, or maybe alignment, or you know, anything to do with computers on the cars. I could teach them how to do it and how to do the diagnosis, define the part and fix the part or replace the part, but I didn't get paid on it. See, I just immediately trained a competitor.
Yeah.
And so, you know, you can be nice, and I know a lot of people are. You and I, Paul, know a lot of people that do a lot of stuff with nonprofit organizations, and they give a lot of their voluntary effort and time, and you know, but they're not doing well financially. You know what I mean? So why would you want to get involved in something where you could mentor other people, or even be mentored while that person's being mentored that you introduced? Like I said on the webinar the other night, I think that I have students, people that I have invited and put into a system that make me look like I'm not making money. But I still reap the rewards from that.
Yeah.
And what people don't understand is, what if you could get involved in a vehicle where people actually out-earned you, outperformed you, but you're still making something based off just putting them into the system. So
it's
really,
a
really powerful.
and it's really a new world philosophy, a new mindset now, where we realize that we can do better by giving more. You know,
Yes.
your tagline for Facebook is "Giving It Forward." That's facebook.com /giving it forward to find Robert Hollis, and that's because you learned early on that the more you give, the more you can continue to give.
Yes.
Whereas I think there was a time not too long ago where people thought, well, if I give, then I can get. You know, the whole Hare Krishna thing. If I give them something, then I'm expecting something back. But that's not why things got started. Now, you know, companies like Facebook and Yahoo and Google, they know that the more you give stuff away for free, the more opportunity you get to serve someone, and eventually there's an opportunity for everyone to make money. And that's what we're talking about in the system that we have here. One of the
Right.
reasons, before I get to what we're doing with unlimited profits and more importantly success in minutes right now, I want to kind of lay a framework of you and I have been involved in this industry at different levels. You know, you can look at it
Right.
different ways. You know, I've been involved in residual income from a part-time basis, but when we met, I understood the power of residual income, the leverage and the
Yes,
freedom
you did.
of making money while I slept. And
Yeah.
what I was grateful for was that the person that introduced us um, presented you in a way that it was easy for us to develop a relationship. As you said, you took the time to build a relationship and identify what area of my life that I wanted to change. And at that time, I owned a business. I had about 10 employees, 5, maybe 7 different subcontractors, 4-state region. You understood that I owned a business, but actually the company owned me.
Yeah.
Now, even
Well,
though
the
I
other
made
thing,
money while I slept, I could only take maybe 2 or 3 weeks of vacation before I
right.
started to worry that things were starting to come down. And because you took the time to build that relationship, even though I didn't make money in my first business with you, yeah, I made a couple $1,000s a month. We did a lot of things. We traveled. You definitely opened me up to personal development and professional development, which I'm eternally grateful for getting me hooked on. So, on continuing to learn, which I think is a good thing. Um, but speak to the part about when you meet someone that might not necessarily be successful in the way they look at network marketing. Like right now, I have 6 books on the table here. And from the top, it's The 1 Minute Entrepreneur by Ken Blanchard.
Okay.
Below that is Think and Grow Rich. Then The Purpose Driven Life by Rick Warren. And then Money and Marriage, God's Way. And then How Is That Working by Max Miller and Robert Hollis. And then Go Pro.
Okay.
And I want, before we get done with the call, I really want to be able to touch on a little bit of these books, mostly the last 2 that I mentioned, because we're at a time, I think, right now where, just as I was then, people are looking for ways to reinvent themselves.
Yes. Yeah. Well, one of the things is I'm going to joke with you a little bit because it shows how fast we got to change our paradigm. And I do it too. So I get to laugh with you and at me. But, I still call what you and I are on right now as a call. You know what I mean? It's like, and, when I met
We're
Paul,
hanging
he
out.
said, yeah, like when, Paul said, he was extremely successful. Paul's actually being humble, because, not only did the man, he was making way above average income. And he can tell you, maybe in another webinar, the guy just was smart enough to see a trend and capitalize on that trend. And so he caught on to deregulations. He found out that all these companies that owned payphones no longer could just own them, that he could actually own the phones. And so, he caught that in a perfect time and made an incredible amount of money. But Paul not only knew that the company owned him, but more importantly, Paul could see the writing on the wall. He knew that one day that the pay telephone wouldn't be something that people were utilizing. And so, you know, it's so funny, Paul, I watched that one video that I always talk about. You probably know his name, but Simon something that does the whole thing with the why.
Yes.
And when he talked about where do you fall in the bell curve, and he talked about the last segment of people that the only reason, which are some people that are watching this video, the only reason that they got a touch-tone phone is because they no longer make rotary phones. And so when you're marketing to people, you got to know there's a group of people out there that are going to fight resistance of change, regardless of what it is. And so to think that we're doing this Google Hangout right now, me and Paul for the first time, knowing each other for 25 years, and to think that me and him are using a technology that we know as soon as it's finished, it's on YouTube, and everyone in the world can see it. It's very difficult for us to challenge in our mind where the new paradigms are going, and they're moving faster than we could ever realize. One of the ones that I can give to people, Paul, that it just gets my mind. But if you and I met somebody and they had a child that was 10 years old, mm-hmm. and they could introduce that 10-year-old to a bunch of people, we'd say, where do you think the maturity level is of a 10-year-old? And people are going, oh my God, they don't have any maturity yet. Well, that's how old Google is. Wow. You know, think that these companies are generating billions and billions of dollars, but they're babies. Mm. They haven't even figured out the amount of pies that they can put their hands into. And the more that they give, the more that they give. Again, I love this word. I know that you grabbed onto it, Paul, too. It's called social entrepreneurship, where your whole thought each and every day is, what can we give back to the universe? What can we give back, you know, to the world? And I do see me and other people that really get a hold of this is I do envision one day us talking about our millionth, our 10 millionth, our 100 millionth, our 500 millionth person that we're inspiring and mentoring and training. Regardless of where they are on the planet, where they are in the world, and knowing that people are going to have, you know, some kind of smartphone someplace that's attached to some kind of wireless tower, and they're going to be learning how to become successful because people like us took the time to do these webinars. You know, so that's the kind of thing I get excited. I know that there's going to be people that are going to watch, you know, this Google Hangout, this webinar, you know, years from now, and be inspired by us taking the time to do that, and just knowing that where we came from and where we're going, and like you said, the constant reinventing. I did a Google Hangout right before I did one with you, and I had to call the person on the phone to show them how to set up a Google Plus account so that they could send me an invitation to do the Google Hangout. And they're 68 years old. And they're like, and when they got done doing it, guess what they said? Oh my God, this is way better than talking on the phone. and to have the person record it, because it was more of a mentoring thing, helping him and his wife figure out how to do this business. It's all new to them. And I said, listen, you know, you can have it private on your YouTube channel, and you can watch it over and over and over again. You know, it's just a whole world that we're living in where people just don't think outside of the box. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I'll give you one analogy that I heard, and even though it might sound weird to people that I was watching this, me and my son Matthew were watching a documentary, and they were showing how people were making illegal drugs and selling illegal drugs. And so this film crew went over to this guy that was making meth, an illegal drug.
Sounds like
and they're doing a documentary, right? Well, as soon as he knocks on the door and the guy opens up the door, of course, he had a baseball hat on and had a bandana that was covering his face, right? And he says, do both of you have a driver's license? And they said, yeah. And he said, pull them out right now. And they go, okay. You know, and they're sort of scared. You know, they're going into this guy that, makes meth, I'm sure he's armed, and you better not play around. And he said, okay, grab your driver's license and hold it next to your face. And so the guy took his smartphone and took a picture of him and took a picture of the other guy, and he sent him to his buddy, and he says, if something happens with this interview, you guys won't be living. Come on in. And I thought, wow. I can guarantee that people looked at that, and you're looking at the evil people and the good people, that they know how to use technology, man, and they know how to use it fast and effective. Yeah. It blows me away that there's the evil people on the planet that feel like they can grasp the internet and grasp technology to do evil, and the people that want to do good are scared of technology.
Oh.
Let that paradigm hit you.
Yeah,
because the evil people of the world, we can think of all kinds of things that are not very nice to talk about, and they're using technology to the best of their ability to do more harm, do more evil, and people that are good that are watching this webinar can't get over themselves to use the technology for good.
Well, you're definitely someone that has used technology for good. I remember a few years after we were with that company that we expanded to Canada, and then you started Unlimited Profits with the building of the websites. I was in California, and Bob Klein was there, and you're sharing with people the idea of having their own website and their own business to market online commerce, e-commerce, and MySpace was coming out, and to think about Google wasn't even really on the scene yet, and to take the analogy.
It was Yahoo. Can you believe Yahoo and Google? We're out there telling people, hey, here's a simple way to get a website and make money. And I mean, it took me like 4 or 5 hours to edit a video to a compression level where the resolution was so bad it still took me 2 days to upload on the internet.
That speaks to the determination that you have, Robert.
Yeah.
That's why I know there's no doubt in my mind you will have mentored 100 millionaires very soon because of that same determination.
Yeah, I don't give up, man.
Yeah. And I remember also you were open-minded to think that even though there were travel agents out there, that people could find a better deal. Going back to the area of when you're committed, you'll find a path, you'll find a road with the right map to get to the destination.
Always.
And you introduced me to a company that helped me look at ways to save money and help other people save money on travel. And then you got me into thinking about domain registrations and how the internet was like the new West. Go to the West and stake your flag in the ground as your property.
Yeah.
Put your domain names. And I thought to myself, work while you sleep. Yeah, that's a great domain. And I remember the hour that you spent with me, and I was in my apartment. I was thinking, my mind was just exploding at the time. Totally different place in my life. But I was listening to you talk about domain registrations, and passionforsharing.com came to mind. That you actually took the time to sit with me and just ask and say things to bring outside of me what would resonate with me.
Right.
And then now here you are with replaceyourpay.com. I mean, that was so revolutionary to be right on the cutting edge with that. Replaceyourpay.com and successinminutes.com. All these domains, Unlimited Profits, and I won't go into the other things that you share with me because I can see where this is going. And yet there are people today that are finding themselves hiding out. I want to say hiding out, but they're hiding out in their offices. Is probably a better word you could probably share. That
comfort.
What's that?
They're just comfortable.
They're comfortable, yes. But there's a rude awakening coming for them.
Absolutely.
And when that time comes, it's too late to think about what on earth am I here for when you're a month away from being evicted from your home or losing your car, and and we both can speak to that point where times have been rough and where we
Yes.
just had to look up and say, I know
Yep.
there's a higher power that's going to get us through this. I need to be true to myself, going back to what you said earlier. Just be who you are, whether you're at the job or at the church or, more importantly, at your home, being content with who you are as a human being
Yeah.
in your maturity level.
Well, you know, even if we got into a spiritual level of talking, which you and I always seem to gravitate to, it's like if your dedication and again, just follow me, just listen to this as a teaching. I don't care what belief system that you're involved in, that once you convince yourself of that belief, the next step is to spread the good news to every corner of the world. So job one is to convince yourself of the belief that what you're doing and the way that you believe is correct. The second step is the reward comes from sharing that with as many people as you possibly can as fast as you can. So we know of different religions that come to our mind immediately where, you know, they require you a certain amount of time to go out there and spread the good news before you go to the next level. There's other spiritual beliefs that you're no longer part of their belief in religion if you don't do that. Isn't that amazing? And so you sit there and you think about it, you know, and again, I'm just bringing up the idea, but, you know, when you think about a Mormon, to think that every Mormon person that you talk to, if they're consistently in the Mormon belief, is like, oh, you went to high school. Yeah, you graduated. Then what'd you do? Oh, I went on my missionary work for 2 years. Then I went to college. See, they purposely learn multiple languages in high school because they know that they're preparing to go on 2 years of going out and spreading the news of their belief before they pick a career and go to college.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. You know, and so I tell people, and this is no joke when I say this. So if you find out that, you know, network marketing as a profession, if you choose that, why is the majority of network marketing companies based out of Utah? That's not by accident. You know, there's a religion there that is dominant, where the laws are good for network marketing companies in the state of Utah. And the reason they are is because they totally understand that a person should find something they believe in and then spend every waking hour that they have making sure other people get that good news.
Wow.
So I'm a enthusiastic entrepreneurial evangelist. So once I learned that, and I'm not saying this for all your watchers, but, you know, I truly believe everybody needs to be an entrepreneur. The reason I love going to, you know, impoverished countries, you know, third world countries, countries that, because they don't have any choices. You know, you go there and every one of their family members knows a family member that's buying stuff at wholesale and selling it at retail.
Right.
Not some of them, all of them. It's a part of their survival.
Yeah, but they're the people that are manufacturing, and then they're the people that are actually selling or distributing.
Marketing,
you know,
correct.
One of the things that's interesting about the 1 Minute Entrepreneur is that Ken Blanchard and Michael Gerber write in the book about working as a team and how the entrepreneur sees a void and fills it.
Correct.
And yet, as a coach, you know, the more I worked with small business owners, the more I realized that not every business owner was an entrepreneur.
Right.
They had a different mindset. Some business owners just didn't or could not work for somebody else, so they got themselves to believe that they could do it better and find other people to work with them, other people's efforts, like it talks about in Think and Grow Rich, and they had the idea that if they used other people's money, they could grow something. So
absolutely,
they kept safe with their job. And this is, I'm speaking to a lot of business owners that might be viewing this video right now, that having employees may not be what you thought it was 10, 15, 20 years ago. especially
Correct.
with healthcare laws and things like that. And why would you want to consider being a network marketing professional?
Well, just getting involved in marketing from a different standpoint. If you sit down with any business owner like you and I did when we first met, all I needed to tell you is, hey, Paul, what if I could replace your income by destroying your overhead, not having you responsible for employees, not having to show up at an office to run it, because if you're not there, when the cat's away, the mice will play. You know what I mean? And all of a sudden I just had to talk to you. Now, have I ever owned a business, a multi-million-dollar business that had over 10 employees? No. But I knew I could speak your language because those are the things that business owners have in common. So they got to sort of think out of the box a little bit. I don't know if you've seen the recent post. I was sort of laughing that my son posted on the wall, on his wall, about Time Warner.
Time Warner,
And
yeah.
And I was looking at that and I go, wow, when would a company that's that big say, hey, listen, if you refer people to me, us, and by the way, the customer's got to be on for 90 days. But if you refer a customer to us, we'll pay you $25. If they refer one, we'll pay you 10. And if those groups share, you get 5.
Yeah.
And so it was showing a theoretical example, I think, where you could make $995 if you brought in 155 people. And I'm sitting there going, wow, there's no residual income. The business model's not going to work for them because they're just throwing it out there because they've seen companies like us do it and make billions, with a capital B, billions of dollars. And so they go, well, man, if they're doing it, we can do it. But they don't understand the relationships behind it. They don't understand that, you really, really got to take the time to build relationships. And I thought, why would a company like that, most cable companies are in the top, 10 companies in the world for the worst customer service. And you're sort of mentally in the mind going, who would really want to be a rep for them?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, their customer service would make sure your customer was no longer a customer.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's really exciting times because I think a lot of people don't realize how fast they can learn different skills. And you were talking about all the, people that may watch this that are just comfortable. They're just comfortable,
Well, they're in denial, or
Yeah.
some that are just in denial that,
Totally.
yeah.
Yeah, and unfortunately, a majority of the people, which will always be the case, usually don't make that tough decision until they have to.
Right.
It's like you always hear the person, oh, did you hear so-and-so stop smoking? They've been smoking for years. And you go, yeah, I did. Oh, because they were diagnosed with cancer. Well, that might be a wake-up call.
Yeah.
But guess what? I know some people where it wasn't.
Yeah.
I can't imagine getting diagnosed with cancer and then continue to smoke. It's like, hey,
It's all about that level of inspiration or desperation. What's
Yes,
going
sir.
to cause them to say, I need to change because the amount of pain is more than the amount of effort that it might take to change. And
Yeah.
you had a great post the other day about changing your life starts with changing your habits and your daily routine. Your daily routine, the practice that you have. One of the things that I think is so amazing about you that we talked about 2-3 years ago in Unlimited Profits, and we're starting to get to now with so many people coming on board with Success in Minutes, is if you want to make money with the opportunity, we have to have certain habits. Just like going to a job, you walk in, you use your ID card at the security gate. You might go, if you work in a chemical plant, you put on fire retardant clothing, glasses, a hat, or you might sit in front of a computer. These are things that we have to think in our mind and get in our heart that we're going to do, and get comfortable with doing those things, like sharing in a social media environment, setting up a profile, watching a video for 5 minutes and trusting that what we just saw really is going to change the way we think. and
Yeah.
not that the results that we get at the end of the week or at the end of the month are. We have to be committed to the process more than the result. Can you speak
Right.
to that about
Yeah,
that?
absolutely. And I have a funny story that relates to that immediately.
I'm sure
Is
you do.
is it's funny. I always do.
Yeah.
When you look at just the thought of the tablet,
Hmm.
who would ever think that the tablet would outsail laptops and PCs? And
Wow.
and so when you look at people now looking at the tablet and going, wow, and now they got to click on keyboards and USBs, they're just going to get better and better. But when people first get an iPad, the thought of why do I need this? I don't need it. I still run into people today that think that if they build a Facebook profile, that someone's going to come rob their house. You know what I mean? And it's like their minds are so far out there. I remember Paul being in the same situation the first time I was with a network marketing company and building it, and they accepted credit cards. Okay, so people were like, wait a minute, I'm going to give you my credit card information that you can put in online. Well, who's going to steal it? And someone's going to rack up my bills and all this stuff. Excuse me. People just live in this world of fear. But once you get them past that world of fear, now Amazon is a $77 billion company. Well, apparently people now have gotten used to using their credit cards online because apparently, we all start out in fear. We all think that we can't do it. Then we start doing it, and then we start going, wow, how'd I ever live without this? And so it's funny to watch the largest group of people that are buying tablets now, because before, when you surfed the internet, this is for people that are old on your deal, you're going to laugh. It was very sophisticated to learn how to turn on a computer and navigate to a computer to find the browser.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I remember people going, I don't even know where to type in something to search for.
Hmm.
Now we're talking about people getting tablets, people that are old and people that are young, that when they get the tablet, you don't have to think about anything. You got to punch one button with your finger and it brings up the browser, and you can either talk into it or write into it. See, it's not all this turn on the computer, let it warm up, let it do all this stuff. You know what I mean? It's like, so now you're seeing young kids, and I'll never forget after Steve Jobs died, the point I wanted to make that just touched my heart. And I believe, and whether people believe this or not, I know that Steve Jobs is up there, getting more glory out of what he created now that he left it, because he got out of the way of what his dream really, really intended to be. And now they're finding out that people with autism, people with mental disabilities, they're now finding out what they really are sensing through more of, they're in touch with their energy
Yeah.
more, because of course they're not communicating very well. So people that are artistic or have any kind of mental disability, they're very sensitive to energy. And so what they always sense is the reason they get frustrated and throw fits and do whatever, because there's always people trying to get them to do things they don't want to do.
Yeah.
Listen to that. So they're just trying to hang out and just be, and we want them to learn. We want them to speak. We want them to get over whatever they're having a problem with. And you need to get over it right now. What's wrong with you? I want to commute. Okay. So as soon as they feel that pressure, then they throw a fit, because they just want everybody to get the hell away from them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay? So they introduce these kids to an iPad. The iPad wants nothing from them. It's not in a hurry. It's not pushing them. Nothing. And so for the first time, autistic and mentally challenged people, including children, are now communicating for the first time, because they have a device that allows them to be in control instead of being pushed.
Wow. Yeah.
And so it showed this lady just bawling because her son's 33 years old. And it's the first time she's taken him to a restaurant, and he's communicated with her through an iPad and ordered the food himself. He still can't communicate, but he's got an iPad, and he's moving around with his finger, and he's got a smile on his face because he can communicate for the first time, because he can trust in this device instead of a person.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was the first time that his mother ever heard the words "I love you" from him. And he was able to tell her how much he appreciated her. And thank you for being there for me for 33 years. I know it's been difficult, and I know you've had to put your whole life on hold because of me. And I love you, and I appreciate you. And she just was sobbing, Paul, because he had all the thoughts in his head. He just couldn't say it.
I'm so
I
glad.
can't imagine wanting to tell somebody how much you love them and how much you appreciate them and how much a difference they're making in your life, but you have no way of saying it. And the other person looks at it as you being difficult, that you're not trying, that you're mentally challenged, and all you want to tell them is, "I love you." And
Wow.
so we're now looking at these devices, and you hand them to brand new kids, and they're like, got their finger all over it, and learning to communicate and do stuff. And I just think that we haven't even scratched the surface. Voice recognition is getting so close, and now we got people that are going to be able to have some kind of tablet around them, and they're just going to be able to talk to it, and it's going to talk to them back. And it's not something like, we've seen these people that communicate through computers, but it's such a large, expensive thing. You know what I mean? And now we got all these neat things that are just going to come into pass, and people still need to learn how to communicate. They still got to learn to be able to take something of value and share it with somebody else that needs it. And that exchange of value versus benefit, you know what I mean, is where anybody can be an entrepreneur. Anybody. Oh, and I just wanted to talk one thing, is you don't know yet you don't know. Well, one of my aunts currently got a tablet, right? So as soon as she got a tablet and learned how to do Facebook, because, her kids and her grandkids aren't going to just take pictures and go have them developed and mail them. Are you kidding me? So I'm going to take the picture and I'm going to put it on Facebook, and you better figure out how to get on Facebook if you want pictures of your grandkids. Now, this might be a motivator. See what I mean? It's like, I didn't want to do it before, but if I want to see my grandkids, then I got to do it, right? And so now all of a sudden she gets on there and she starts getting friends, and she said, "I was just exhausted." You're going to love this for people that are going to watch this. She says, "I was exhausted because now that I got all these friends, I had to reply to all of them that sent me a message." And she said they were talking about all kinds of stuff, and it was so nice, but to make that kind of comment on every one of those people that were sending me a message was just overwhelming. And we didn't know what she was talking about, and she thought that the news feed was all coming personally to her.
Wow.
So if someone, and she comes from old school, she's in her late 70s, if someone sent you a letter, if someone sent you a card, you got to respond.
She's old school. That's right. That's right.
So she had no clue.
That reminds me when one of the, you just touched on a couple different things there that just blew my mind. But it really speaks to what I want the audience to know when they watch this video, Robert. It speaks to your heart. It speaks to your mind. It speaks to your love of people. The fact that you can emotionally connect with the viewers with that story, and how technology can be used for good.
Yes.
And how earlier you did talk about how it could be used for bad, but it can also be used for good if the people that are fearing it, that are good in their heart, then it can just amplify that goodness, that they could just put more light out into the world, more love through the words that they use to share with people, through their pictures, through their posts, through their comments. And
Right.
what we're building here is a community of people that get to know Robert Hollis as more than just the Rolls-Royce Ghost owner. You know, when I started doing the Ghostrider series earlier this year, what I wanted to contribute is to an audience of people that if they were sitting in the car with Robert, and it's kind of like the undercover boss, you know, that's there working with you, watching his employees do what they do right, do what they do wrong, or do what they could do better, and then going back to his team and then going to them and giving them more. That's
Yeah.
what I see as the kind of relationship and the power that we have in this community and the leadership that you're embodying
Yes.
that wants to lead. It's more than just not about building leads in a compensation plan to distribute a product called training or mentoring. It's really about people changing lives because the leaders, Bill Ebert, yourself, Robert Hollis Jr., and the transformation that we've got to see him over the last 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years, amazing.
Right.
And the other people, Bob Klein, the youth, Hannah Ebert and Jonathan Puga, and now to see a level of, I mean, technically, if you're over 55, you're getting an art card, and we've got senior citizens joining Success in Minutes.
Absolutely.
Corporate executives that are in their third career that are looking for a way to contribute. So let's talk a little bit about how the platform that we have here in Success in Minutes can enable people to connect and to learn and also unlearn some of the things in this new technology that they want to let go of. Because like we say, money is not the root of all evil. Money already makes you more of who you already are.
Well
At
said.
the same time, we gently meet people where they are. This isn't for everybody.
Right.
And for me, I think there's some people that are born entrepreneurs, and then there's some people that are not. I think
Right.
that the people that can be groomed to be leaders can be taught, but there's that certain amount of selflessness that must be present to serve. And that's one of the biggest ahas for me in the last 3 years of working with you and Bill Ebert, is that my level of significance is not about how many people I have in my back office, how many people that I have as pros, although that is a good way to measure who's documented. It's about impacting lives. So
Absolutely.
talk about how the money man, the millionaire mentor, just talked about connecting with people on the heart level. How do you make that all part of that one body that you are, that one spiritual being having a human experience?
Well, again, Paul, you got such an eloquent way of saying things. I just appreciate it so much. It's being able to get people to understand. You know what I mean? A lot of people talk, but if you get done talking to somebody and they don't understand what you were just trying to deliver, you know, then it was wasted. You know, and you're so good at that. That's what I love most about working with you, being friends with you all these years. And one of the things that's just very, very powerful is, like you said, uplifting people to allow them to be a little more than what they thought they were. When you talked about, you know, Jonathan Puga and Hannah, which are very, very young, and now we're looking at people like Melody Riba. You know, when we get people starting to do videos and they get these unbelievable amount of feedback, positive, because here's something that people never really thought of. They thought of that, okay, we think that it's technical. Why? Because it's in our head. We think that we look funny. We think that we sound funny. We think that the lighting's wrong. We see everything in our mind. We don't think that we got good enough equipment. We always are going to be the people of least resistance. And if I could say anything to your watchers, Paul, is their experience, their story. Their experiences and their stories are and when they learn to tell them from the heart, can inspire other people. And I don't care what's going on in your life. I heard another story, and you know I love success stories. That's all I search for is success stories. And there's this company that figured out that right now, I don't know if you've heard this point, but they said in the last 3 years that 48% of the telemarketing business has been taken away from India by the Philippines. And the reason why is the dialect and the accent sounds more American. And so they were asking this company, this top telemarketing company, how they did it. And the guy says, "You're never going to believe me." And he goes, "How'd you do it?" And he says, "Well, we pay senior citizens money on a monthly basis in America to do webinars with our kids." And the guy goes, "What?" He goes, "There's no better way to learn English and sound like someone from the United States than talking and having a vocabulary back and forth from someone that's got 70, 80, 90 years talking in that language." So instead of learning the English language from someone with an accent, they start communicating for hours with people that are sitting around in retirement homes with nothing to do. And they're communicating with kids in the Philippines, and the kids are learning English, and they're talking about, "Well, tell me a little bit about yourself." And they're going back and forth and was showing some of the exchanges. Whoever came up with that idea of paying people that no one else wants to hire,
Right.
that are sitting in retirement homes alone, now communicating with kids. Wow. See, so, you know, you got to think outside of the box. Well, how do you think outside of the box like that? By hanging around people that do.
Yeah.
So, you know, so every person that's come up with an idea like that, people go, "You're out of your mind. That's not going to work." That's probably the best thing you could hear.
Yeah.
So in Unlimited Profits right now, the whole fundamental thing behind it is I was taught my whole life to get to trainings, get to trainings, get to trainings, get to trainings, which I know is, I just did a video on the most important investment in the world, and that's you. That's you. And so I've done that, but for me to make money off other people learning how to be successful, my next goal was to be able to be good at promoting other people's trainings. And Paul, the more people I got into other people's trainings that got them to get the pop, that got them to get the confidence, the belief, the inspiration that if someone could do it, they could do it. Now I got somebody that I promoted, mentoring and teaching my people that are now getting incredible results, and they thank me for getting them to the event. Wait a minute. They go out and earn money, and a company pays them, and the company pays me too for getting them involved in the company and promoting events. Are you kidding me? It's like, that's all I do, and I still do that today. Of course, I've had to step up in ranks because, you know, I want people to get paid for getting people trained. You know, if you were Doug Harkins comes to my mind immediately. I just love that man. And Doug Harkins has championship rings because he was the physical trainer for a lot of the athletes that are at USC University. Wow. So when they won championship rings, he got one as part of the team, right?
Yeah.
And so you can't stop Doug Harkins from talking about his college, right? So if you were around Doug Harkins, you're going to USC. You better find a way. If you're going to go to college, you got to go to the best college on the planet, which is USC. Well, why? Because he believes that, Paul. He believes that USC is a better college than any other college on the planet. What if Doug Harkins got paid for people over the years that he got to go to USC? What if he got 5 or 10 or 15% off the tuition these students have paid? What if he got a matching bonus on the amount of money they made after they graduated? We'd all be learning from Doug Harkins. So more than anything, you just got to find a vehicle like ours You know what I mean? It's not me, it's us. You know what I mean? We're all building this together. And you know me, I could talk about it. Well, whether I was doing this webinar with you or not, I'm still talking about it all day, every day.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And really, what we're seeing here with Success in Minutes is it is a place where people can come to learn for free. At
Yes,
the same time, we want to give them an opportunity to earn while they're learning, because the reality is things are getting tougher in the world. Um,
absolutely. If
and
you don't think that you got to learn different schools in the new economy, like Paul said, this is not a fear of loss. It's just telling you the truth that the whole world is going to go to a performance-based model. It's all going to be based around, and especially if the economy keeps turning into a situation where a lot of governments believe that the way to take care of to everybody in their country is through the government doing it. So we can talk about that and debate about it. I know everyone's got their different opinions. They say, what is it? Don't talk about religion and don't talk about politics and because people really get passionate about it and have different views. But when you look at every single country out there that decided that, the people don't know what they're doing, that they're going to take care of the people, you've seen what's happened to the economy. And one fact that I just heard recently that was just staggering to me is that over the history of us keeping records, do you realize that every empire in the world that was the #1 empire in the world, that there's this weird number that happens around 250 where they just destroy themselves.
yeah,
And so the United States right now is 232 years old. And
mm,
so we're already hearing about other countries already gaining on us, and in a lot of places beating us badly. I mean, our education system in the United States is sometimes 30th to 32nd in the world. So other countries figured out that if they educate their children and make their children for the next generation smarter than ours, we're in trouble.
yeah, yeah,
But guess what? Awareness is what has to happen.
it's the first step.
Second is admitting that we got a problem, and then thirdly is helping people. So I think that Unlimited Profits is going to be one of those companies, Success in Minutes. We're going to go out there and we're going to bring in a whole new generation of entrepreneurs that can market anything and everything via the internet and not have to give away their lifestyles. Some people that are watching this video, 100% believe that it's okay to spend 2 hours or more a day in commuter traffic just to get a paycheck. And guess what? They've justified it because that's just the way it is.
Yeah,
Well,
they're
these
comfortable with it. They're
individuals,
willing to make
yeah,
the sacrifice. They've set a threshold for themselves.
yeah,
You know,
of what they're willing to tolerate. But these same individuals cannot find 2 hours a day to learn how to do something new.
you talk about the best investment so far, the video that you made.
Yes.
As a coach, as an executive coach, a small business coach, my standard line for people when they're within the first month of working with me is, you've got to find a way to make your routine that you are a priority again. Any successful executive, top-level manager puts 40% of their 168-hour week into themselves. Now,
Wow.
yeah, it's true. And most employees say, well, they're playing golf, they're doing this. Well, some will justify and say that that's an opportunity to market, to network. I say it's a way for them to recharge themselves.
Yes.
And so, when you're driving around in the Rolls Royce and you're making a video, that is giving you the juice. Okay,
Absolutely.
it's also setting an example that you're determined that your lifestyle is such that you can afford that kind of vehicle. Whereas most people might look at it as saying, well, he's all about the money. They're denying the fact that they can barely afford the vehicle that they're driving.
Right.
So when you wrote the book, How Is That Working? It was a real awakening for people to whether or not they were in the rat race and whether they had the commitment and the desire to go towards freedom. Um, such a quick book. I mean, it's only 130, 150 pages, but it covers so much ground in leading people to a new way of doing things, in being home. Like you and Terry have been home to school your children, and now Robert Hollis Jr. is in a position with his new baby that he has the freedom to be there at the hospital with his child as his child's growing up each day. Speak to people that maybe they looked at. See, when I looked at Unlimited Profits 2 years ago as a system that I could use in my coaching practice, I went to you. I flew out to California. We talked. I really wanted to see it as a replacement of the E-Myth. I really wanted for it to help business owners learn about the business of the business, teach them how to market properly, to run their business in a method that it was duplicatable so that they could find freedom from it. What I found from that was what I knew 20 years ago, but honestly I was prideful, didn't have the contention that network marketing professionals really do have a better way. I said a lot there. I think you caught it, but so.
Yeah, and the reason I wrote the book, and for people that read the book, as you know, is I'm just trying to light up the entrepreneurial spirit inside of them. That's all I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get them to go, wow, if this guy can do it, so can I. And so that is my main key for the book. And just like you talked about before, is my goal is to teach people how to use social media and the tools that are available today to build that relationship marketing. I still think that people think that social marketing doesn't work because they're taking the relationships out of it. And and I shared with you before we got on this webinar and this hangout, there's people that I'm meeting right now that I found from social media that I took the time, like I did with you 20 plus years ago, and I take the time to get to get to know them. People don't care what you know unless they know that you care. And so I developed that relationship, and once I developed that relationship, I let them learn at their own pace. You know what I mean? I want them, if I try to push them to get the pop, the point of present, the place of passion, and if it's so much better when I do the things I need to do and they get their own pop, because now they got it. Now they all of a sudden have that click inside of them. Oh, wow, I got it. And I was sharing with Gary this morning that I think is an important thing to share, that I know that I've shared with you, is that I just believe that one of the biggest things that is happening right now in our world is people have lost the concept of apprenticeship.
Yes.
They so people ask me all the time, Robert, how'd you get where you got? Well, I found someone that had a vision, and I locked onto them, and I helped them make their vision come true. Yeah. I took a guy that was an independent distributor that didn't have any jewelry, didn't even have a new suit, and he had this vision that I locked into, and 7-8 years later, he was written up in Inc. magazine as having the fastest growing privately held company in the world. See, I locked on to his vision and helped him make that happen. And when you do that with somebody, you get your own. Right. You now one day recognize, and again, I would say, what if you never recognize this? But so what if you just end up being a person that's always known like Paul Allen? Yeah. I mean, doesn't Paul Allen, what a jerk this guy was. All he did was support Bill Gates and was always behind the scenes. And, the guy's really got an awful life. At one time, he's written up in Forbes magazines that the 3 biggest yachts on the planet were all his. You know what I mean? Because he was trying to sell one, and he was having one privately built, and he didn't want to get rid of his old one yet. So when the new one got built, he hadn't sold the other one yet. So at one time, he had the 3 largest yachts on the planet. And people were going, oh, there you guys go, talking about money again. you guys don't have a clue how much money Paul Allen's given to charity.
Right.
I mean, to think that Bill Gates now in his last chapter of his life, is going to go down in history. Here's the deal. We were talking about this because I seen him recently do an interview. When Bill Gates dies, people are going to go, oh, isn't that the guy that eradicated polio?
Malaria, yeah, polio, whatever.
People won't even mention Microsoft.
No.
Isn't that the guy that was doing so much for humanity that Warren Buffett, the second wealthiest person on the planet, when his wife died, was so crushed that he didn't do what she wanted to do, that he gave $38 billion to Bill Gates because he was doing what he was supposed to be doing. So, well, that sounds like the end. No, it isn't. Now Warren Buffett and Bill Gates have put together this deal where they got 120 billionaires on the planet now that have made a commitment to give over 50% of their wealth away. So now, can you imagine the call, Paul? I can't wait for the call. I can't wait for the call. Hey, Paul Manieri? Yeah, Warren Buffett's on the line. Hey, Paul, how you doing? Congratulations. I just seen you listed in Forbes magazine as the newest billionaire. Hey, I need you to come see me. And you fly out and he makes you sign a petition being a part of the Billionaires Club where you're committing to giving away $500 million, $600 million the way to charity. These guys have events every year now, Paul, where all the billionaires get together and they talk about their failures in giving money away. Bill Gates gets up there and says, hey, I was going to go after malaria. I paid for all the vaccines. I got this company to make them in mass quantities. I got them all shipped down to a couple of villages where I was going to do the immune, get all these kids immune. And I found out that I transported the vaccines wrong, and none of them were good by the time the kids got them. Now, I can help you not make that mistake because no one's ever transported that much vaccine to another country. You don't know what you don't know.
Right.
And so these guys were talking about how not to make 10 and 50 and $100 million mistakes in giving money away to charity. I want in that room. I want in that room. I want to get a call from Mr. Buffett or Billy Gates saying, hey, Robert, listen, would you like to come help us, take care of the world? Yeah, I love it. I'd love that.
That's amazing. Well, I know that one of the things you did when you were with the network marketing pros that really blew Eric Worre's mind a couple of years ago was they had that main event in December in Vegas, and you were kind of brought up there to speak, and you sat there in the chair and you showed everybody emotion and action that is rippled through the industry when you said, oh, that's all it was just that. Yeah. And then the action of your heart where you handed him that check for the Starkey Foundation, for the hearing aids, for all those people.
Yeah.
That just really impacted him. And now to see you guys together involved in elevating the professionalism of the industry of network marketing. And like I believe you said it well, it's relationship marketing, because when companies that are conventional, like Time Warner or Amazon or Walmart, that use a method of paying out for referrals, loyalty rewards. I mean, this model of marketing and doing business is profitable and works for over 6 decades now.
Right. And the social entrepreneurship is in my opinion, Paul, is going to catch up more.
Yes.
A lot of people don't realize that there's cable companies out there right now that have the worst customer service on the planet, right? And they're trying to find ways to steal each other's customers. When you got Google that puts a vote out on Google to everyone to vote, and they wanted to see how many votes that they could get per capita. And they went out of their way, I think it was either Nebraska or Kansas, and Google went in there and paid for fiber optics to be run to every home in that community. And so most companies are trying to struggle with trying to get to a 30 megabit. Do you understand that these people have a gig? They got a gig up and a gig down, all fiber optic network, and guess what Google charges for it? Nothing.
What?
Yes. Because their mentality is social entrepreneurship. So, right now in Silicon Valley and also San Francisco, there's places that the whole city is on Wi-Fi. They're on Wi-Fi 100 megs per second, up and down for free. You look at people like Google with a mentality of social entrepreneurship, the major companies of the world that are taking advantage of customers for nothing but who can get the most profit on stock shares to just take care of stockholders. There's going to be social entrepreneur companies like ours that are going to make sure they no longer exist.
Wow.
Because if you got free Wi-Fi, where are you going to watch TV from?
Right.
It's not going to be your cable company.
Yeah.
So, wow, it's like, I think there was one thing that just came out, 52% of the people in America no longer have a landline.
Yeah.
So you watched it disappear with payphones.
Right.
Who would ever think that you would not have, I don't have a wired line in my home. So, yeah.
As always, Robert, as we come to a close here, you have over-delivered. When it came to me this afternoon, what can we talk about? Reinventing ourselves, helping people see where we were, where we are, where we're going, taking them up, lifting them up to look at where the landscape is, and the companies that have, and the people, the billionaires that have invested in the world's health, the world's prosperity, the conditions, and then bring it to a real life practical standpoint with a simple blog system like Success in Minutes. I just know that this company is in the right hands with the right people leading it, and I'm so grateful to be a part of it. It's amazing to see how the people that are going to be leading this company, we haven't even met yet.
Absolutely.
Robert Hollis Jr. said it really well in one of his posts. It was a picture of 3 new leads that had come in, people that he doesn't even know, that he's not even friends with on Facebook, that have already signed up to learn about the Success in Minutes program for free and are beginning to upgrade and so forth.
How to do videos. I've been telling him for 7 years, that as he got his accolades, that he started making $3,000 a week. He bought, the dream car of his choice. He was living on the beach. And I told him back then, man, you got to start doing videos. You got to put them and just constantly keep doing them. Come up with the subject, listen to an audio, read a chapter of a book, and then do a video. And while we're talking about this, you already brought up the GoPro book. Here Eric Worre, all he did for 5 years, all he did for 5 years is put up a YouTube video. And if you did an interview like this that lasts an hour, well then great, then split that into 6 parts. You know what I mean? And why did he do 10-minute videos? Because we used to have YouTube that only would allow you to do 10-minute videos. Now we're on this call for an hour and it's recording it and be up right after we get done with it. I mean, technology is crazy. But I think that Eric now is on, 1,070 shows that he's done over 5 years. He now is doing trainings with people 20 and 30 at a time for, $5,000 each, for a 3-day event. Network Marketing Pro, the big event this year, will be way over 8,000 people live. We'll have hundreds, probably over 200 people there that make over $1 million a year from way over 100 companies. And you're looking at an industry that's all coming together And Eric Worre now, I think, has 450,000 fans on his fan page. You know, it's probably more. And if you would have told me 5 years ago that it would be by putting up a video, putting up a video, putting up a video, putting up a video. So now I've watched my son consistently do a video like at least every other day.
Yeah.
And people look at his videos, they're inspired by his videos, they share the videos, and people want to meet them.
He's almost at 1 million views. He's almost at 1 million views on his YouTube channel. And I remember when you were talking about, and I'm so grateful that you allowed us to do this Google Hangout, because I normally wouldn't have been this comfortable doing it 2 years ago, let alone making a video. And we've had discussions of how there's people that are watching this that are going, well, this could be different. The lighting could be different, and this could be different. Or, you know, maybe he needs to fix his hair, or maybe he needs to have a woman involved, or a different clothing. All these different things that people overthink. And when they just be themselves, they realize that their story is important to someone else. 2, 3,
Right.
5, 10 minutes of sharing their story. There's someone else on this other end of this recording that's going to say, if he can do it, I can do it, and let's do it together. And that's what the beauty of this community that we have, this accountability group, this ninja team that we have with Success in Minutes. Any closing thoughts that you could share with our audience?
Yeah, my closing thought is the same like it always is. You know, I want you to look at me and just know that I'm an average person that attempted some above average things. All I did is, if, you know, not that you have to watch this movie, but I want to start getting people to watch it. But, you know, what about Bob? Everything in life is just baby steps, baby steps, baby steps, baby steps. And if you watch the show, I think it's so hilarious that the mentor that helped him become successful in life didn't know he was helping him. He was trying to push him away. And so he's going, well, I can't get on an elevator. Yes, you can. You baby step to the elevator. And so people would see him in the hallway and they go, what are you doing? I'm baby stepping. I'm taking little baby steps to the elevator, little baby steps to the elevator. Then it was baby steps to the bus, you know. I mean, the next thing you know, he's traveling for the first time. That's the story of your life, and you just got to be willing to take the baby steps. I know you can do it. It doesn't seem like they're working, but if you just constantly, I was telling people the other day, Paul, if you posted nothing but, if you shared and liked and comment on just nothing but positive posts that other people did, you don't know that you're changing your psychology. Because you didn't used to read and give to the universe, to other people, a positive thought before.
That's right.
I got chills all over when I said that. Yeah, we might be tricking you to be successful and happy, and you don't even know we're doing it. But one of the things I wanted to say in closing, Paul, is thank you for reaching out. You've been a loyal friend and one of my best friends for years. And anybody that's watching this got to know that you're the kind of person they need to seek out and work with. And you're the kind of person that cares for them more than they currently care for themselves. So I did this interview because you're just a wonderful person in so many ways. You've always been there for me, and I want to be there for you. You're a great person, so I hope people get a lot of value out of this. I know I got a value out of it just by spending a little over an hour with a dear friend of mine forever. So, you know, get a hold of Paul Manieri. He can help you out. Thanks
so much, Robert. You have a wonderful day. And everyone, you can find us at successinminutes.com/18483. I couldn't help but do a little sales pitch at the end.
You got it. You got to know where to be found, you know.
That was a good I love you sign there, brother. That was good.
Okay, God bless each and every one of you. See you later, Paul.
See you, buddy.
Okay, bye-bye.